so the floor is yours. Thank you very much. First, I would like to introduce the entire team which is here, because later we will not have time for it. And we'll speak about the great project which is not worthy just the visibility, but also the replication, not only in Slovakia or Czech Republic, but also in the entire EU. And we could even replicate it in New Zealand, just to point out. So I will start with my right hand, Zdeněk Pavlik, the head, the principal from the Technical Economic School from Brno. Marian Pavelka, I don't have to introduce him very much. He introduced himself yesterday. Miro Marko had the presentation lately as an architect. Josef Nosal is another member of our panel who surprised me a lot at New Zealand, because he was supposed to go, then he said he wouldn't go, and then I met him in the hotel and I was shocked. So, and then project manager of this entire solution, Milan Klinčok. So, we will first give you the introduction to this project for you to get the idea, and then we will focus on certain points. When we last time presented this to some audience, just the first milestone, it took 2 hours, so we now need to make it in a few minutes. First of all, I would like to thank Strabag, the construction company, who is the initiator of this entire idea when they decided within a corporate responsibility to make a procurement for funds. First, I will show you the time axis, and then I will call the representatives of Strabag to tell you more. We started in November 2023 when we were invited to international procurement called by Strabag. In April 2024, he had preliminary results, and I remember being with my family, and I think it was in Moravia, in Valeci, in a well-known hotel, and there was Braňo Siklinka, and was telling me, oh my God, we can make it. And I said, that's impossible, I don't believe it, but Braňo was very optimistic, and it was beautiful news. Then there was December 2024, when we had the local location for survey approved, and then in April 2025 we had scope of work, the presentation, what we want to do, how we want to do in this time. And in May this year we started with introductory measurements to measure the entire location without any intervention. So we measured the status, or the current state of affairs, and October 2025, that's today. So that's the point from which we are going to present the entire project. But now I give the floor to Edita Novotná from Strabag to say a few words, because thanks to Strabag we even could start with this survey, and without Strabag it wouldn't even be possible, this entire project.
Dobré dopoledne, dámy a pánové. Děkuji za pozvání.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. At least I will equalize it from gender point of view, but the construction is a men thing especially. But we are also related to the burden to the environment and emission, but the part of our concern corporate strategy is that we just don't want to be part of the problem, but we also want to be the part of the solution. And we want to find the models how we could proceed in the climate change adaptation measures, and that's the essence of the project that we started in Brno together with iCARI. It is a tree that we planted together, and I'm looking forward to the fruit that we will get from it, because it seems that this tree will have strong strong roots, and I'm happy that it's making so good in the Czech Republic, and it will maybe be successful even in New Zealand. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your contribution. So thank you very much, Strabag. Without you, it couldn't even be possible, and I think it's a good representation of how the big companies could participate in such project and be the solution. And we don't only have to be dependent on funding from Slovak resources, about which I do not think anything good, but this is a very good thing, how to cooperate on this kind of service. What else do we have here? We have here some sample, or yes, you can tell us about the proceeds, how we chose the location and everything else. Yes, when we put together our important parameters that we are going to assess when selecting the particular school, so this is the summary from what we are interested in. We were the density, whether there are some flat roofs, whether there is whether it is in some historical site, whether there are some other, what is in the environment, whether there are some other measures, whether the blue-green infrastructure or some energy solutions such as green roofs or photovoltaics. So we put together all these parameters at the selection, and based on the interest on the principals or headmaster, we selected the ones which corresponded to our focus. And here on the site you see that we selected Stredná škola Olomoucka in Olomouc, and Mr. Pavlik, Zdeněk Pavlik, will tell us more about it, who is the headmaster of the school. So this is just a fraction of our selection sheet. We had a lot of conditions there to be able to find a good location, but I think the Mr. Headmaster can tell us something about this location. So please tell us something about your school. Thank you for the floor. I greet you from Brno, from Moravia. So I'm not just a headmaster, but I'm also the teacher. So if I'm too long, just interrupt me. We are one of the biggest school in South Moravian region. We focus on electric and engineering and economy, because in the Czech Republic there is quite a pressure on general education, so we also offer this economics education. So we have 200 employees, a huge amount of students, so you can imagine that it basically looks like a factory, because we have our workshops, we have our premises for educational purposes. We have a lot of students also from Slovakia. We have new fields of study. We have a new field of study like a rifleman, and you can check our fields of study on the website, and we try to give our students opportunities to get a new experience, whether through the Erasmus program or other opportunities. So our students can travel abroad to Croatia, to Denmark, to Slovakia. We also have students in the United States, so we are doing well, and then our alumni give it back to us by their success. So coming back to this great project, which already has planted its roots, and a year ago we received an email about the offer to join this effort. But you can imagine how many emails we receive daily and what offers we get. But then we got a phone call, and then I started to think about, yes, maybe this can be a thing, because we want to be leaders. We don't want to stay aside. But we decided, but we then saw and realized that there is a huge selection we have to go through. Maybe you remember this picture of me where I was searching through a lot of boxes with a huge amount of documentation which we sent for processing to even be able to start. Today we already finished the study, which gave us further opportunities to develop the school, and this will be the basis to be able to ask for subsidies. One has already started its subsidy to construct a sports ground. Then we have some other ready, and we also have some partner companies, like 160 of them. We have like 500,000 of Czech crowns, but we already have this first item to be able to start up the activities, so that district can not only have the strong rules, but also so that we can take care of it and achieve big results. Zdeněk, thank you very much. And I think I want to emphasize that it wasn't only about technical requirements when we were doing the selection, but it was also about the communication. And Zdeněk convinced us that he's a good manager at good place, because if you have the passionate person interested in their job, you have the best partner you can imagine. So do not hesitate, because this if Sixth Sense tells you that this is the correct decision for a partnership, it is very often confirmed. Because this school always convinced us that they are the ones. So let's move on. And now I give the floor to Marian. Marian will tell us or tell you why we started why we wanted to start it from the climate point of view. I am the representative of Czech Academy of Sciences, and we are in charge of the survey and the research, and the result of our research are the articles that are read by some, but never by the general public. So for us, this is a great opportunity to join this kind of project, where our know-how, where our knowledge, where our skills, we can forward and put our knowledge into practice, to apply them. So on this chart you can see the hard copy of our screens from our server Climrisk, which we manage as the Czech Academy of Sciences. And as you can see, the prediction is not very optimistic. On the first chart, you can see how the temperature of air is changing. The average air temperature is rising constantly. Therefore, the number of tropical days is rising. Those are the days when we are really hot, and it's already on the level that we need to do something. We need to adapt. What is maybe positive thing is that the number of freezing days is dropping, at least from the heating point of view. And what looks a bit positive is the yearly amount of rainfall. It rains always, as it seems, and we shouldn't have a problem. But as you can see on the first chart, it's getting so hot. The atmosphere needs more water. It's like you turn on the dryer, you need more water, because it takes the water away from you. So We want to measure and to verify these adaptation measures and to be able to see where the money should be invested. If we had here all the partners at this stage, it wouldn't be big enough, so we only chose the core of the team. Milan, tell us more about 6 milestones or the basic 6 milestones of the projects. What is it about? So the first milestone, which we finished successfully, is this study of the climate sustainable plan as a concept for 30 years. As Mr. Principal mentioned, they have the document according to which they will follow and according to which they can prepare further grant schemes, and they can use them to create phases of individual exterior parts and to be able to follow the plan. Another one is adaptation book of building restoration for public sector, for municipalities and private sector, which is a methodology for PPP project. Then we have the documentation itself for the adjustment or amendment of adaptation policies. And last but not least, we have a very sensible ESG reporting, according to which we are able to execute the current ESG methodologies to make them more precise and also to be more reflective of the new measures that we can take with our new experiments and are important. Then we also have here the regulations for PPP projects, which are related to this adaptation book. And also we selected this school because of the interest of students to be ready to help with the individual steps. So now I would like to add that me as a long-term critical person of the ESG reporting, we want to show the ESG reporting which is not influenced or affected by the ideology, because many times it's more about greenwashing, and we want to show how it can be useful for municipalities, because a good ESG reporting can be useful for municipalities, and if you do it correctly, it can be a very good basis for what to do next. Regarding the participation, yes, we spoke about it, that we want to the students to join, not only to watch, but also to intervene the project, to participate with their own activities. We already agreed that we are going to do the second version of this. Could you describe it? Uličnik, it's a device which was developed by my colleague, and it's a unique system for measuring and calculating of so-called impression temperature, so the temperature you feel. So it always reflects how we feel at that certain place, and it is especially for measuring the air temperature, the moisture of air, and also the radiation, heat radiation of the surrounding objects. And this device will tell you what is the temperature that you feel at that certain place. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the starting points, as it was mentioned.
So, meaning what awaited you when you got the primary or the first documentation? So we obtained 15 boxes that looked like archived sometime in the 80s, a very weird way. I would like to thank I would like to thank the lady sitting here because she had the task, she was assigned to go through all the materials in order for us to be able to compose all project documentation, to archive and to list all the chapters and all the numbers, so that sometime in the future, when we return it, we haven't done it yet, but so that at some point we can return it to the principal, and that they have not only just tons of papers, but also functional documentation that can be used as a basis for any project design. Thank you very much. I think that just through this step we helped the school so that the school didn't need to cut the cables, the underground cables, which anyway we did because we didn't have the materials back then. We wanted to start the BIM project. This is a digital twin, but we really burned ourselves. Everybody says that they can do BIM, and the digital twin, but we found out that the reality is different. Reality is different. We are too far away from knowing how to do these things. What helped us is that we have this 3D twin, meaning that we can show it, but that's all. What we needed to redo with Miro's team. And this is also the warning for you. If someone tells you that they know how to do the 3D twin, in 98% you talk about a fiction. So then we started with measurements. Josef, thank you for the floor. Good morning. Before I talk about the beautiful slide, I would like to mention how we got into the project. We are Research Development Application Services. We're a private company, and my colleague talked yesterday about the cloud, where we collect and also archive data, not only for this project. And the last year we met for the first time at this convention at the Climate Resilient Cities, and for us the format was very attractive because for me, we also look at it through the lens of money. And also where we can earn money, and also sustainable construction. So for us, it is like a living lab where we can try and learn how it should be measured, what data are relevant, what not, or which data are not relevant. So this is something we didn't do before, we haven't done before. We know how to measure, but in order to get the relevant data for the sustainable construction, we needed to create the customized setups. I don't know if you have a pointer. This console, this one in the middle, this measures the surface temperature, the material surface temperature, the air that is approximately 30 centimeters above the surface, and then up to 1.5 meters, where we have the last measuring point. And we need to measure it so that we are able to deduct other measured indicators. And yesterday we had a very nice presentation about the radiation of the heat, how the heat then comes back. So we don't have the results yet. We archive the data, we measure every 2 minutes, and with the accuracy of 0.1 degree. And there are various points, and this is the phase before construction adjustments. So we try to collect as much data as possible beforehand, before we start adjusting or modify the material. I will help you with the next slide so that you can talk so it's easier to talk. Yeah, it's a lot. I don't have my glasses. Let's try to talk about this. This is something different. So what I have just told you about was the exterior temperature, so the external conditions. And this is measured directly on the roof, but we also have referential areas for the sensors. We have like 35 sensors. And this is interior measures. So while we are in the project, we want to do something meaningful that can enrich our project, and we are measuring the CO2 concentration in the classrooms where the students really are, where they study. The building has its specifics, and also the bottom one. The building, I haven't seen such a building that would have 4 stories, and each of the floors has different height of light. Historically, the building was used diversely, and we started at the last floor where there is a very low light height, and we placed 2 sensors in front and in the back, approximately in the height of 150. So the last floor had the lowest clearance height, and we measured the concentration of CO2, and we measured parts per million, so how many molecules of the CO2 are there in the million of molecule. For the same room with the same number of students, but in one room there are some limit indicators are around 200 ppm. So, and from 2000 up, the person starts to feel tired, headache, and it's like from 200 about, and with 2000 you start to suffocate. But at the level of 1200, according to Czech norms, you don't need to ventilate the room. And this classroom 306, I don't know what they teach there, and we are just building the causal indicators. But it's it can be felt that the students that are there have different conditions than the students in 310, because there are lower levels of the CO2. So it is not just about the sustainable construction in direction of ESG, which includes the social aspect as well, but we also need to create the added value for the user. Just talking about the CO2. Jožko, thank you very much. It's not just about the social aspect, but also from the perspective of concentration, because when you exceed the limits, the young students have problems focusing on what's being taught. So we need to work with it, and there is beautiful correlation between the beginning of the day, beautiful levels, then during lunch, high levels, then during lunch, people go away, again the levels go down. So we can work with it, how to also improve the internal environment. Another important thing for everybody who handles photovoltaic, we want to deal with it, to handle it as efficiently as possible. And here we have the result from 1st of July 2025. You can see the temperatures of environment, and then you can see the surface temperature on on bitumen covers. We can see that at 4 p.m. the temperature is very high. It's over 60 degrees, and we don't have it completely measured. These are just the introductory measures. We will still continue to measure it until the end of year. And if we manage to put the photovoltaic panels at least 20 centimeters higher, we are increasing the effect from solar to electricity to electrical energy. So it really pays off to think if we can to place, if you think about placing the solar panels a little bit higher. And now I would like to go to the most important milestone, number 1, that we already delivered, which is a strategic model study of climate sustainable campus plan. It is the basic strategic document not only for the school but also for South Moravian region, for all of you in the municipalities but also private sector, because when the managing directors or the managing employees of the Strabag saw it, they thought that they would be able to use it also at their construction, because in the last 3 years I've seen strategic adaptation documents of municipalities. And how to assess it in a diplomatic manner. Many pictures, few words, free words on the 30 pages with like a feeling that nobody will ever use it. We cannot create such documents because the strategic documents are here to be used in the future as a guideline. So the overall concept is the inhibitor of the research, and it's also the material for hypothesis. And I would like to thank to all creating such a project. I would like to thank to the studio of Adaptuj.sk, of the studio Húština or Papaver. Great people, nothing to be ashamed of. So, Miro, please, can you tell us more about the basic concept? I would firstly start with another thing. We called it the development concept, or the concept of development. I would like to describe why. So we were preparing for the measuring and for the collection of data, and when it comes to the preparation of green roof on the school. And I thought that everything that we were going to test could be part of some future conditions so that it can serve the school long term. So first of all, we should have some general plan of what would be helpful for the school, and then we can create such plans for all the places for the long-term future. It should serve the principle of the school, and we know that there is always some grant call that is focused on something, and we need to meet the requirements of the plan or the call. But from the long-term plan, it's important that the managing directors or managing employees know where the vision is, how the space should look like in the future, so that we don't have the situation that, for example, now we have a call for reinforced surfaces, and in 1 year we have the call for some water retention system. So we need to dig into this reinforced surfaces. So the logic is as follows. The climate change adaptation is not only about the CO2. Yes, the mitigation is important, but the primary goal should be a human being or person. So each project designer, an architect, whatever they create, they should create for a person to feel good in the area or in the premises they are at. On the premises they are at. So essentially, the task was clear. We needed to prepare the project exterior and interior, the principles of interior, for example, the ventilation, and that would be a separate debate because the ventilation at school is really problematic. But essentially, the principles for exterior and interior. Exterior means blue-green infrastructure and green roof, and what is important, we wanted to have a concept for the development for the next 30 years. There is, at the moment, we didn't have the assumption that this measure could be implemented in one go, so it would be implemented gradually, and we wanted the premises of the school, exterior and interior, to be used and functional also in 30 years. So that when we see this terrifying graphs of Marian Pavelka, so that the premises are still functional despite these graphs and despite predictions. This is a part of our documentation, so you can see our real outputs. Miro tried to talk about how we handled the boarding space of the car park. At the end of the day, the whole exterior is about the minimization of reinforced paved areas and the maximization of green areas and water retention areas, because the irrigated greenery offers shadowing and also cooling, but the dry greenery does not. So it was mainly about, for example, getting the tree from south, from south to the car park, so that we manipulate the shadowing. Did we manage to retain the number of parking places? It was interesting. We asked students 13 questions if the students wanted more sporting in the green areas and to limit the parking. So they wanted more sports areas, more green areas, but they also wanted to retain the parking places. So we manage. We got to 90 parking places from 108, and I think it's great because this is the example of us being able to support the existing things and do it in a more reasonable manner. This is the car park, also visualized so that you can imagine it. There was another thing. So if you wanted to adjust the space also from mitigation perspective and to transfer the car transportation to, for example, public transportation or to scooters, electric scooters. And this space didn't have any, this car park didn't have any such space for bicycles or for scooters. And the janitor of the school requested that there is a security facility or equipment under the supervision of the janitor. So first of all, the students, in order to use the bicycles or the scooters, they needed to firstly have somewhere to park these devices. This is a courtyard. This is the entrance that also served as a car park. This is a space of the strategy, and we created a space for coincidental meeting because, young people have problems to really have some real life relationships thanks to social media. So we wanted to create a place for coincidental meeting or accidental meeting, the place where they can sit on the benches and just talk as they come to school. And from courtyard we are going to cafes and to sports areas. Here I would focus your attention to the gray pathway. Now, this is just the asphalt reinforced paved area, and we thought that there was no reason for the school having bidirectional road. So the school allowed us to create only one direction or unidirectional road for, I think, 100 meters. And also the principal or the headmaster requested that we also create canteen or the dining room, basically, or actually canteen, yeah. So we created that. Why there was such a request or requirement? As I said, we have over 1,500 students, and it's already a problem for us to get in, and we just have a coffee. We have like a couple of places, and we wanted to create additional space for the meeting, not only for students, but also for the school employees. And in this way, we are coming to another item. Here, do we have a visualization? Yes. So this is another space. The principal requested that they have to have a space for some social event or cultural event that can be organized up to 3 times per year. We, within the strategy, reuse, we thought that we can just reuse whatever already stands. So we created a pavilion with a stage that would serve such events. And of course, what was important was to create some shadowing construction or sheltering construction, because wherever people gather, we need to shelter it, or we need to shadow or offer shadowing. When it comes to atrium in the building, this is space or area that will be the first that will be constructed. So it is about the external classroom, and not in the system of having the teacher in front and everybody else in the back, but the system of round table. Another important note when it comes to parking, when we on the shelters over the car park, we didn't count with photovoltaic panels, and we put greenery on the car pods, so that really it also offers cooling of the cars in summer. When it comes to water, rainwater in the area, we wanted to have as many paved surfaces to also be permeable as possible, and everything that could be absorbed should be absorbed on the side through the rain gardens. When it comes to the rainwater from the roofs, we wanted to have it used for the repeated or reverse irrigation of the green roof. And I think another important thing that was already mentioned, there is already existing rain sewage system. We didn't take it out of the ground. It needs to remain there as some security for the torrential rain. And if the absorption capacities of the area ends, it needs to flow out in some or other way. This is important also as a prevention of flooding in the cities, because the logic is that follows. If all the paved areas follow directly to the sewage, in the first seconds of the torrential rain, all the sewage gets overwhelmed, and from the moment and I need to prolong or extend the time from the first second of the torrential rain till the completion or accumulation of the water. This is a great point. We are partnering with another company As I said, this project is international. We have partners from Sweden to Czech Republic to other countries, and we have plenty of opportunities how to learn what works, what doesn't work. We are not afraid to say what functioned, what does not. We need to learn through our own mistakes. I think that is a part of seriousness of the research. Since it's a private-public partnership or project, we have funding from Strabag, and we have great inputs from our partners bringing their own knowledge, and they are not afraid to test it. But then, Zdeněk, you mentioned that there was also the opportunity to open the funds that are in the current calls. Yeah, there are possibilities for water retention or rainwater retention. So let's see, in March we will be wiser, and if we are successful, we will be able to meet another step ahead of us. The great advantage is that the region will have a complete documentation, and we will need to prepare additional documentation, but the school already knows where to put the accumulation containers and in what volume. So, for example, the school would want to get to as high as 200 cubic meters, which is very interesting. This I will just skip because we've already talked about it. Solutions for roofs, please, Miro. So we started with the roofs, and that's why we started to measure all the indicators on the roof, because we want to assess the impact of the green roof, irrigated and not irrigated. Marianne had beautiful presentations on, the dry green roof not cooling. And we firstly needed to do the as-is research, so to compare the probes and the viability of the existing roof. And then we designed the heating of the roof. So the green roof that we are going to make there, it needs to be founded so that it serves not only this project, this research project, but so that it stays functional for the school and students. We encountered there, how to say it diplomatically, we encountered one problem. We realized that, okay, the current state of the roof was good because we walked there, but then we needed to take some samples, and we tested the samples, and we realized that from the perspective of heat isolation, the current condition is very bad, because instead of polystyrene insulation, they used the insulation that is used for facades. So whenever you go into the green roof, please make your own or do your own research, because then you will avoid the problems. Because usually we have some calls for photovoltaic, so we will put all the photovoltaic panels on the roof, and then in 2 years we find out that there is a huge problem. This usually happens with municipalities, and how we cooperate with South Moravian region, and there is a unit that offers public purchases, and we are in narrow contact, in close contact with this unit. And we already experienced that the project office for photovoltaic panels, they didn't audit their roofs. And this is a problem if you go to roofs with self-adhesive photovoltaic panels. You have a problem because they will bake on this black and gray hydro insulation, and then the school will have another problem of removing all these panels at their own expense. So we also try to warn about this fails or actually these problems that may help you avoid problems in the future. So in this project or any project or concept of adaptation of any area for climate change, we need to understand the area as one ecosystem, which is the interconnection of person, land, or like the country, the architecture, so that the premises is not only climate resilient, but it mainly means the climate resilient person, and that's why the person is in red circle. Our goal always needs to be the construction or adjustment of the area so that we increase the quality of the area from the perspective of physical attributes and aesthetics, but also to increase the quality of life of people in the area. And let's try to mention where the science is and what are the advantages or contributions of science in such project. The most important is to verify the theories in practice, because what is being tested on some small sample of the roof or in laboratory conditions, it may fail. And Dr. Dědeček beautifully spoke about scalability. We cannot apply something for Petri, yes, from laboratory experiment into practice. So we often start adaptation measures, but not always we invest our money in the best possible way. So we are going to try to measure as exactly or accurately as possible with the goal to find out what works, what does not, so that we can adjust the environment or the environment of the cities for the future, so that we make it future-proof. Thank you. I also would like to add that this project is about further testing of various measuring devices and tests that should tell us about the reliability or level of reliability of these testing devices, because on the market there are many measuring companies or companies offering measures, but I wouldn't say that everything is a measure. But when it comes to the greenery on the roof, we have a complete concept of the greenery on the roof. We are slowly getting to photovoltaic panels. So you see, we want to combine the green roofs and photovoltaic so that we can establish how these two systems influence each other. So we have like the roof that is 3,000 square meters big, and we are also creating a space for us to establish how the materials we use can prolong the lifespan of the roof. We will use the photovoltaics alongside the greenery. We will have around 2,000 square meters of such green areas. As Josef said, we will have clear, transparent overview of what's happening on the roof in 2-minute intervals. This biosolar, meaning the connection with vegetation, linking the vegetation with the solar, is innovative. The school is now getting funding for that. We will try to test the possibilities and also how it behaves. If it works, or if it's just a buzzword. We are not afraid to test it. We are not afraid to also say if it works, it can work in the Central Europe or not. This is a research, and we try to approach it as such. The summary. I would like to thank to the company of Strabag that they enabled us to pursue such a research, because I think that even the company will have great outputs they can use at the operation of their buildings or their own business activities. This is also a great opportunity for other companies. I would also like to thank to Zdeněk that we found a great open lab. This open lab is open for the public to come and to see, and because we want to document the things, but we want to keep it open for the public, because to see it on the slides and to see it live are two completely different things. We want to show real knowledge from practice, and it's about not being afraid to say what works, what does not, because we have had enough of buzzwords or opinions on social media. This is what these 2 days are about. I would like to thank to all my partners for great work they have performed. I'm happy we are working with the best, and we want to work with the best because it proves that we want to do the things as in the best possible way. The project opened great partnerships with the South Moravian region. We are meeting with other South Moravian institutions and companies. We are creating great partnerships. In Auckland, at the New Zealand, we understood that they would also like to do something like that because it makes sense to them. So we started something that we didn't even think or imagine that would be of such magnitude, and I think that this deserves the applause. Zdeněk, try maybe a couple of words. I think that we have already behind the time delimitation. I'm very happy that we are part of the project for two main reasons. It's not the data collection, but it's because young people are engaged that they will be part of this open laboratory. I don't know how it is in Slovakia, but in the Czech Republic we usually talk a lot, but then these things become just everyday business. And I'm happy that these young people will experience that there is a need to change the world, not in the future, but now, and everybody needs to start at themselves. So thank you to Strabag for their auspices, and thank you for the cooperation with other partners, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. Thank you very much. So thank you also to Pinjo for the patience and this, because we also took a little bit longer, but now we are going for no, we are continuing with other interesting presentations, because we will just discover other interesting things, because it's another interesting source of funding of adaptation projects. So please